everybody, and welcome to, that was the creepiest intro ever, I love it. Welcome to episode 6 of 31 Days of Hell. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about creepy sleep paralysis experiences. Now, this is something that is very close to home for myself, as I suffer with sleep paralysis sometimes. It doesn't happen too often, luckily. Usually it is due to, anxiety can bring it on. Being paranoid can bring it on. There's various different things that can bring it on. I know it's caused by usually a change in your sleep pattern or sleep deprivation. For most people, that's what brings on sleep paralysis. Anyway, straight to the point. Before I get into this, I just want to say there is one experience that I read, that I've screenshotted, that I'm going to share and credit them in the description. So you know where the information came from if you want to read more on that website, where somebody listed a sleep paralysis experience that happened to them. But I've had the exact same experience in the exact same way they explained it. So that was it gave me goosebumps to read it, basically. Anyway, let's get to it. Where are my notes? Okay, so the first one is getting pulled. That's loud. The first one is getting pulled from the bed. And I found this story on ranker.com. I know those of you in the UK, that sounds like I'm saying another word that begins with a W. I'm not. I'm saying ranker, R for Romeo, A for Alpha, N for November, K for Kilo, E for Echo, R for Romeo. Okay? I'm not saying the other word that is a gesture that men do when they want to relieve tension. I'm not saying that. Okay. Right. So, onto the story. From a Reddit user named Jellybean Skittle said, I suffered a terrible accident involving being kicked in the face by a horse, which resulted in my jaw being broken. Two plates and a wired jaw later, I was pretty hangry and exhausted. I'd suffered from sleep paralysis before, but nothing to the extent after this accident. It occurred every night, sometimes multiple times for months on end. We have a mirrored wardrobe next to our bed, my side of course, and I keep the bedroom door open. Quite often I would just be falling off to sleep and I would feel the dread wash over me, followed by the feeling of someone being in the room, one of the most common signs of sleep paralysis. I would then feel like something was pulling me off the bed by arm towards the mirror. Then the nightmares progressed to being dragged off the bed by my back, all whilst feeling choked, unable to scream or move, unable to get my husband's attention, who lay next to me. Extremely unnerving and upsetting, to the point where I would fear sleep. Been there. My husband told me that I'd been sleepwalking and had no recollection of this. He found me in the hallway a few times, really upsetting. Upsetting? That'd be scary if that was my wife. After a post on Reddit, it was suggested that we cover the mirror. It did help curb the amount of experiences for a while until I returned to work, where the nightmares lessened. Recently, the sleep paralysis has returned, but interestingly, so have my daily headaches and migraines. I am able to sometimes let out a sound whilst trying to scream, which my husband is then able to wake me out of it. My most recent experience has been a black figure, think person covered head to toe in skin-tight black lycra, who is trying to drag me from the bed by face. Incredibly frightening. Yes, I would think so. In this state, it feels like it is almost in slow motion, and I am trying to crawl my fingers across the bed to my husband to wake him, but it is impossible. I find it interesting that most of us who experience this tell of the same figure, etc. Yes, it's probably the same figure haunting people in sleep paralysis. Right, so that is the first story. Next one, also on the site ranker.com. Again, that's with an R. And this one is called The Woman in Black. So Reddit user amnotcrab, interesting username, said, I have only had one experience and it was terrifying. Lucky you. I woke up in the middle of the night and had the usual symptoms. However, I was sleeping facing the door, which was open, and an old lady in full black appeared and stared at me for what felt like an hour. Before I finally regained motion, the woman screamed and lunged at me, and I woke up. Yes. Wow. Okay, the next one is from metro.co.uk. I found this, it's very interesting. I thought I'd just give it a read. So somebody said, I'm 42 and first had a nightmare about a terrifying witch. Let me just point out, not all witches are ugly. In fact, a lot of people that practice witchcraft, a lot of modern day witches are beautiful. Moving on. At the age of 16, she kneels on my chest and stares into my face, slowly getting nearer and nearer. I am completely terrified. She wears a black cloak and hood. Her face is like a witch, and evil generates from her, surrounds me from her. Other times, I can be lying on my stomach and she will creep her hand up the back of my head, down my face, and hook her fingers under my top teeth and pull my head back. Other times, she will bite, sit on the bed, knock the door, call my name, and generally scare the crap out of me. Christ. And this is from a 42-year-old woman. The sleep paralysis is most common in children and young adults, for those of you wondering. Okay, so this is where it starts to get spooky, okay? These next two experiences that I'm going to read have happened to me, and the last one is described in such vivid detail, it gave me goosebumps because the last one I'm going to read has happened to me exactly. Okay, so let's go on to the one that's first from last, and this is from the website thoughtcatalog.com. And somebody said, this one is titled Something Whispered in My Ear. I've never had any visual encounters, but when it happened, the first time I was laying on my left side and started to feel a pressure on my chest when I realised I was paralysed and started panicking. Something whispered in my ear, just coming in to say goodnight. That's when I felt like something was pushing me towards the edge of my bed. Terrifying shit. So the first half of what I'm about to read has happened to me, exactly, and it should be very interesting for you to listen to. Okay. I've had a few different sleep paralysis demons, in quotation marks, and sort of, quote, sleep paralysis guardian angel, unquote. The demon ones are the usual shadowy figure standing over me or by my bedroom door. The worst one was while I was laying on my side with my back to the door, and it felt like someone got into bed behind me, under the covers, and put their arm around my waist. I have goosebumps as I'm reading this. Then it felt like they were cuddling into me, and I could feel breath on my neck. It felt like they cuddled me for about half an hour. All this time, I'm trying not to show that I'm panicking because it feels like I'm getting cuddled by a skeleton with claws. It was only about the okay, so let me just pause. Right, so I've had that exact experience happen to me, by the way. For those of you listening, I've had that exact experience, and it's happened to me twice, where I felt like something is hugging me from behind under the covers, and I don't feel the breath, however, but I do feel the arms, and it does feel like skeleton fingers. But this person said they feel panicky when this happens. To me, when this happens, I'm calm. It doesn't scare me. In fact, I'd welcome it again. It's like a cuddle from a significant other that you don't have on the physical plane. So this is not something that scares me in particular. But the fact that this person has had the same experience as me is what scared me. Okay. Right. Okay, so it was only about the second, maybe third time I had sleep paralysis. So I nearly had a heart attack when this thing feels like it's moving in closer to kiss me behind the ear. Worst of all, it whispered, "Not yet. You're not ready yet. I'll come back when you are." To me, it sounded disappointed and excited. I felt like it was silently telling me it meant it was coming back when I was about to die. Scared the fucking shit out of me. Continue reading. My sleep paralysis guardian angel was a weird experience. I'd been getting sleep paralysis on and off for about 18 months. By this point, I could usually tell straight away when it was happening. At first, I thought it was the usual demon things beside my bed, but when I looked properly, I realised I could clearly see a man kneeling next to my bed smiling at me. It wasn't a creepy smile, more like a parent coming in to check on their kid. Looked like he was dressed in a 50s style suit and hat. He didn't say anything, although I got the sense he was letting me know everything was alright and he'd look after me. That's kind of sweet. Creepy, but sweet. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. These are just a few creepy sleep paralysis experiences that I happened to find through the lovely website of Google, selling all our data. Very, very nice of them. And this was 31 Days of Hell 2, episode 6. And as I usually say at this point, happy spooky season.